Yo, what's going on everybody? So today's topic is the histogram. This was recommended by RSpuds. Thank you so much for the comment. Finally got to it, and let's get going. So today I'm going to be sharing what the histogram is, how you can use it, and yeah, let's get into it. So have you ever seen this on your camera and been a little bit confused on what it is? So what is the histogram? The histogram is this long paragraph, but we don't have time for that. We're not going to read that. Let's just get into it. It's actually a lot more simple than that. So on one side you have the darks, the shadows, and the other one you have the highlights and the whites. So what do you do with this information? Well, when you're looking at images, you can see what kind of exposure they have, if they're underexposed, if they're overexposed, if they're correctly exposed. Now, most photographers would say that a correctly exposed image is somewhere in the middle of the histogram, so there's not too many shadows and there's not too many highlights and there's no clippings. So there's going to be a couple different color channels when you look at histograms. There's going to be the RGB, there's going to be the luminosity, and there's going to be the CMYK. RGB stands for red, green, blue. Luminosity is the black, white, and gray channels, and the CMYK is used for print, and it's the cyan, yellow, magenta, and key colors. So how the histogram works is it's a scale from the darkest point in the image to the whitest point in the image, and it's on a scale of 0 to 255. So there's a few times where it's not gonna always be correct, and I'll give you some examples. So one example would be of a black cat, a photo of a black cat, where you know that the image actually isn't underexposed, but it will think it is underexposed because there's so much of the black fur that it's gonna skew to the left. Another example is shooting in direct sunlight. If you shoot in direct sunlight, it's oftentimes going to be a lot brighter exposure, and so your histogram is going to shift more towards the right. So when something is overexposed, we call that a high key exposure, high key histogram. And when it's leaning more to the left, we call that a low key, which would mean that it's underexposed. Earlier, clippings is where one of either the shadows or the highlights are blown out, and this usually means that it's to the side. So it's on the side, the left side or the right side, and that means that all the information in that image at that point is lost. In the highlights, lost information in the highlights, or lost information in the darks. And you kind of want to avoid that when you're shooting as much as possible, because then you can't edit it later and it just becomes white or black. So that's the basics of the histogram. If you want to learn more, don't forget to check out this video on the histogram in Lightroom, and I will talk to you guys in the next video for more photography tips. Thank you guys for watching.